you. That was Krishna Prasad, leading the Kirtan Sun Bible. And now she usually takes the kids downstairs for some storytelling, music lessons, however she can keep them engaged. It's our email address for comments, correspondence, and feedback. Website, utahkrishnas.org. There's another good website, krishna.com. Easy to remember. Lots and lots of information there as well. Everything is inspired by the teachings of His Divine Grace, A.C. and Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, the founder and Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Om Naganati Mirandasya Ganadana Salatya Chaksuravirgiritam Ganadashmai Shridharvedava Sri Chaitanya Manopi Sam Sapitam Yenu Swayam Rupa Karamayam Darati Swaparam Vikam. Thanks to you all for coming. Our topic today is God is the Master Chef, subtitled Something's Cooking. And we all have things that we're waiting on. It's easy to get frustrated. Why is this taking so long? I thought I'd be married by now. I thought I'd be over this illness. I thought I'd be further in my career. I thought our mission would be bigger by now. When we don't see anything happening, it's tempting to then try to push things along, take matter in our own hands, force doors to open, manipulate a situation, ending up living, striving, and straining. But Scripture says, through faith and patience, we inherit the promises. It's good to have faith, but it's also important to couple that faith with patience. Otherwise, it's quite possible to miss Krishna, God's best for you. And God does have blessings, just like any father has blessings for his children. Good breaks, the right people, healing. At the appointed time, if you keep in first place, the message is that you're going to come into greater favor than you could have ever imagined. One devotee said, those who wait on the Lord will see their strength multiply. Waiting on Krishna is waiting in faith and waiting in peace. Now this brings us to the recipe analogy. Every great dish is composed of raw ingredients. However, those ingredients, when tasted alone, they're very sour, pungent, intense, bitter, completely unpalatable. So in our lives, analogically speaking, those bitter, pungent, sour, unpalatable things are those things that we're struggling with. Bitter ingredients that we wish we could simply remove from the pot of our life. By the way, this is a bitter melon. So the secret lies with the master chef and his recipes. The chef knows that the ingredient isn't meant to be consumed separately. It needs to be carefully portioned, mixed with other contrasting flavors, spices put in, and then subjected to the right intensity of heat for the right period of time. This is all comes together and makes what is a very, very sumptuous, palatable dish. So God, or Krishna, is the master chef. He doesn't use a microwave. He won't give you a cheap version, a TV dinner. Krishna uses the real thing, the charcoal, the fire, and perhaps most importantly, the time. It takes longer for God's recipes to fructify than it does to put something in a microwave for a few seconds. We say, why? Why should it take so long? Why the delay? I want to see it now. But if we could look behind the scenes, we would see that God is seasoning that preparation with a wonderful seasoning, which in time will make the dish completely delicious. And that seasoning is time. Without time, that result would not have been what it could be. It's time that he uses to flavor the promise, to make sure that it comes out exactly right. And when the process is complete, the seemingly or previously unpalatable elements, the bitter, the sour, the pungent, have been transformed, harmonized into a delicious, complex flavor that is its bitter parts. So this culinary analogy, I believe, is a good example for how we should view our own lives. Don't be in a hurry. Do what you can, but then rest in a place of peace while God does his cooking. If you've kept him first place, I can absolutely guarantee you, read my lips, in your life, he is up to the oven, placed on the fire. If you've kept God first place, it's only a matter of time before the timer dings and everything's ready to come out of the oven. This is a story from the Srimad Bhagavatam. It's about a king named Prithu Maharaj. Prithu's father was very egotistical, very selfish. He saw the citizenry only as not to give back, not to protect, but to exploit. He didn't believe in consecration of your LDS, giving back to the source. He only believed in a one-way street, taking. What can I gain from this? What can I earn from this? What can I exploit this, and who can I exploit this situation for? The result was that the earth, whose name is Bhumi, and whose byproducts are meant to be offered to the Lord. That's why she produces fruits and grains and trees for fuel and shelter and raw materials. She produces abundantly so that we then can offer those things to God and use them to glorify God. Well, none of that was happening under the reign of Maharsvena. So eventually Maharsvena was killed and his son Prithu ascended to the throne. But there was a huge famine, there was a huge sparsity all over the land. It hadn't rained for who knows how long. There were no fruits and grains and vegetables. The famine was so severe that people were foraging on roots and herbs and rolling pebbles in their mouths, chewing on pebbles to alleviate their hunger, wasting away, while King Prithu looked on and felt great compassion for these byproducts of his father's mismanagement. The entire kingdom faced starvation. Now that would be comparable to a bitter ingredient in a recipe. So a lesser king would have despaired, thrown up his hands, blamed the previous administration. But Maharaj Prithu accepted the challenge. He confronted Bhumi, the personality of earth. So what do you need? What do I need to do? Who do I need to be to alleviate the citizens from this disastrous circumstances? He actually had to chase her, it's described. He chased her all over until he cornered her and agreed that whatever conditions she would impose, he would conform to those. The first condition is that he could not be like his father. He could not simply see the kingdom and the citizens as something for his own gain, for his own enrichments. He had to be, excuse me, a perfect character, exemplary character. And that means he couldn't live an opulent life of luxury. I need a glass of water, please. Like his dissipated father had done. As much as his father had been corrupt, Prithu would have to counterbalance that by being the most loving, caring, selfless, law-abiding king ever. And over and above that, he had to establish specific social systems so that every people could prosper. And different categories of people were empowered and allowed by earth, who had taken the form of a cow, to quote unquote milk her for the things that they needed in order to perform their occupational duties. And King Preto, in the meantime, with his powerful bow, he leveled mountains in order to make agricultural fields. He did this with his bow and arrows. Thank you. So that people could once again farm and extract from underneath the surface of the earth grains and fruits and vegetables. And again, to set the example of being a perfect ruler, to lead with complete devotion, complete self-control, and completely under the law. So what happened is, he used that crisis to feed his people, and not only that, to reestablish a perfectly harmonious social order. He formalized the process so that for hundreds and hundreds of years, during and after his reign, everything went perfectly, like clockwork. Sages, demigods, ordinary people, merchants, warriors, kings, even the departed ancestors were satisfied in the places that they'd gone after leaving their current bodies. He milked the earth, milk for cows, food grains for human beings, Vedic knowledge for the great saints and sages, established a self-sufficient system of duty and exchange. So what he trusted was that adversity, the bitter circumstances that he faced when he first ascended to the throne, he saw those as a necessary part of the recipe to step into a perfect reign. And whereas his fathers had been as imperfect as you could imagine and selfish as you could imagine, counterbalancing that, the complete opposite, Pritu's reign was like heaven on earth. But he couldn't get from there to there without some bitter ingredients and without some seasoning, some spicing, and the passing of time. So he trusted that the adversity that he faced was part of God's ultimate plan or recipe for a perfect reign. And he had the opportunity, the platform, to show himself as a perfect leader. So this story proves that even the most challenging, overwhelming difficulty can be transformed into a platform for social excellence when it's guided by someone with a perfect, God-centered point of view. Every one of us, in some shape, form, or another, in life, are going to face what we call the attitude test. Are you going to despair? Are you going to be tempted to give up, throw in the towel, when a bitter ingredient comes along? Or are you going to trust the wisdom of the ultimate chef? You don't have to strive, you don't have to strain, connive, or manipulate in order to get the upper hand. All that's going to do is frustrate you and wear you out. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Work hard, but do it from a place of peace. Don't try to make everything happen in your own strength. God has exactly what each and every one of us needs to fulfill our God-centered dreams. But we have to do our part and not play the role of God, rather put God first place, prioritize him, and then let him shower his blessings upon us. We need, first of all, to determine what his plan is for our life, and then surrender to that plan, knowing that our job is to maintain and improve the quality of our spiritual practices, not force a material result. So that's where the daily chanting comes in. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. One more modern story about the master chef. Sarah was a very promising track athlete. She was favored to win the 440 as well as the half mile in the upcoming state track meet. And then it was expected or projected that she would go on to join the Olympic team. But alas, all did not go as planned. Just a week before the event, she suffered a severe stress fracture, a career never-ending, painful setback. That was her bitter ingredient. Her whole life had been geared to go to the Olympics, and now all that was off the table. With the result, she fell into deep despair, asking God, why did this happen? But instead of quitting, she saw the master chef, somehow or other, working in the background. And she began, as a result, spending her hours with the younger athletes, coaching them on technique, strategy. This forced time away from her own training was the metaphorical heat that perfected a different set of skills and a different passion for the young athlete. She used that setback to start rewriting her life plan, finding a new purpose in serving and mentoring the young athletes. That injury had been Krishna's way of setting her on a better path for life. She realized that she had a natural gift for coaching the young girls and a patience that she'd never known that she possessed. She became eventually one of the most respected high school, college, track and field coaches in the country. She ended up finding a success and a personal satisfaction far greater than she could have achieved as an individual runner. And she says to this day that that temporary setback was the exact ingredient that allowed her to find her lasting success. What do we learn from this? The key is to keep trusting the master chef, keep chanting, keep coming to the temple, keep doing service, even when nothing is happening. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. The core decision that each and every one of us has to face is the attitude test. Are we going to despair? Are we going to boo-hoo when we come across a bitter ingredient? Or when we feel the heat of the oven? Or are we going to learn to trust the wisdom of our Creator and dearmost friend? We don't have to strive, strain, connive, manipulate to get the upper hand. That'll just wear us out. Come back to a place of peace. Sure, it might be taking longer than you thought, but that's because Krishna's seasoning it. He's flavoring it. He's marinating it. He's heating it exactly at the temperature and the duration that he wants. And sure, it has been a long time, but do you smell something cooking? Do you smell the fire burning? Do you smell the charcoal in the air? There's something cooking, something delectable, savory, and spicy. God's got it in mind to open doors for you that you never dreamed would open. The right person showing up, healing, restoration. If you're just patient and if you're trusting, you will taste the fullness of the final meal, which will be truly delectable, truly sumptuous, truly relishable and delicious. Now, that final meal is not just some external, circumstantial, material blessing. Ultimately, the blessing is the blessing that comes from the fruit of the Spirit. The blessing is the inside peace, the inside love, the creativity, the meaning, and the purposefulness for your life. Those inside blessings are the superior blessings that Krishna or God is cooking up for you. All you have to do is one thing: keep in first place. Honor him. If you do this simple thing, I guarantee you, he'll bring you out better than you've ever been before, both materially and, more importantly, spiritually. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. It is said, no good thing will be withheld when you walk uprightly, trusting in the Lord. If we just maintain that good attitude we will come to see in time that the master chef knew exactly what he was doing all along. That struggle wasn't an accident. That bitter circumstance, that betrayal, all of that was the necessary heat, the portioning, and the spicing that went into producing the ultimate dish. God can see the things that we can't see. He knows what's coming. He knows what you're going to need. He knows where you need to be. And he knows when you need to get there. So trust him. He's the master chef. Don't fight the delays. Let him cook. If you'll do this, I believe in conclusion that it's just a matter of time before you hear him calling your name, opening the door, bringing the right person, moving the wrong things out of the way. You're about to, if you kept him first place and trusted him in the process, to come into a full course meal of prepared blessings, favor, healing, promotion, liberation, the fullness of your destiny in this life and next life. I believe that you will go back to home, back to God. Well, thanks for your kind attention. If any of that resonated with you, you're invited to raise your arms along with me, and we can say, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. You're invited to stand and stretch if you're sitting. Join us in the front. We're going to do a traditional arti ceremony exactly as they do in hundreds of temples in India for thousands of years, where we offer various items from God's creation back to him. And then one more couple of announcements, a short prayer, and then we'll go downstairs. So if you have any questions, we'll solicit your questions downstairs during the feast.
Namaste Saraswati Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyamadi Vashadna Visakarine Namaste Saraswati Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Krishna
Parabhakacharya Shri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C.